Welcome everyone, Costin here with the Great War Western Front. This is the kind of game where before jumping into a campaign or historical battles, you're probably going to want to play the tutorial to figure out how to do things. So the tutorial starts in 1918 with the Americans. It's focused on the Americans. I want you for the US armies. So we have an intro movie, and we also will learn the strategic map, regions, objectives, and unit movement. Though I'm probably going to skip some of that at the very least.
I lied about my age and joined up when I was 17. Looking back, I was just a foolish boy looking for glory on the battlefield. The enemy had sunk our ships and trying to turn Mexico against us, and they had to pay. My platoon arrived in France in April of 1918. General Pershing organized our troops. My unit was assigned to a French contingent for training, and none of us had any experience with the new way of fighting, and the trench lines were a bit of a shock.
Alright, so here we are, 1918. The situation is a bit of a mess. I didn't know it at the time, but Laurent had been in the Battle of the Somme. You could see a kind of distance in his eyes, though he didn't let it show in his voice. This is the theater map, which depicts the Western Front, including regions of France, Belgium, Luxembourg, and Germany. So this is where we are going to find the entire campaign. The Russian treaty has freed up nearly 50 divisions of German infantry to be transferred to the Western Front. Your men are needed to shore up the line and push back against the new threat. Our civilians see this German spring offensive as something to worry about. A worrying civilian is one who does not support the war and begins doubting that we can win, even talking about surrender. While this army can't worry about the feelings of civilians, the threat of a new German manpower is not something to dismiss. If we are not vigilant, Germany could reach Paris. But Paris is still a long way from the front lines, and we will never let Germany get close. They got a lot closer than you might think. Okay, so here is Paris, is the headquarters for the Allies. Paris is also our central hub for new recruits and the manufacturing of munitions, including tanks and aircraft. Our forces begin in Paris to be deployed to the front line. Once you get organized, your men will be deployed in the same fashion. Alright, this will be a trial by fire. So we need to move 3 infantry corps to Chateau, 2 French tank battalions as well, and we'll get a bunch of resources. Our forces have been fighting bravely, but they have had little rest or peace for a long time. I'm sure your reinforcements are welcome sight to them all. We have designated the Le Marais region as a staging ground for American forces. Any new American units will begin there. Our logistics people keep the unit together for ease of reference. However, thoughtful distribution of force is necessary for victory.
We have new orders.
Okay.
Stand by for
So
orders.
select 3 infantry corps and move those infantry corps over there. The infantry has filled in the defensive gaps as planned. We should take stock and see what else is needed over there. Despite the language barrier, our soldiers seem to get along. Alright. I had a little French from high school, but learning a language in a classroom was a whole lot different than being surrounded by it. The common soldiers seemed to get on great, but the officers seemed frustrated. They could exchange information and coordinate attacks, but they couldn't take orders from each other. If you're unsure about your orders, remember to check your logbook. So these are my orders. Will take time for our heavy armaments to get across the Atlantic. For now, I have taken the liberty of requisitioning some of our tanks for your use. I've heard that your men have taken a liking to them. So we have 2 French tank battalions, and we're gonna move those over there, and that will give us gold reserves, national wealth. All right, preparation for battle. So that was chapter 1. Okay, so command has granted us gold reserves for completing your orders. This is a vital resource used by officers to requisition all manner of necessary items needed for the global theater. French command believes a victory will pull German forces to that location and relieve some of the pressure on Chateau. A good outcome here could also give the people back home positive news. So I would get an American tank battalion if I reinforce the French troops and capture Châtillon. No battles take place without proper recon work. While we perform aerial reconnaissance over the enemy territory, the information can grow stale. Okay, so we select that. Some of our best intel comes from spies in the area. Our operatives can scout the information we need and relay it to command. Right now, we need more information about their military strength. Okay, so we click this one. So it gives us army intel, which reveals the number of and type of all military units in all enemy regions adjacent to the targeted friendly region. I met one of those spies once, nerves of steel. You'd have to be tough to hide behind enemy lines, risking your life with every step you take. Okay, let's just click the button. Alright, so select over here, and we can also go on. Our spies are reporting a large buildup of German troops, more than we originally knew about. This new information changes the plan somewhat. We'll need to bolster our forces with the remaining American corps in Le Moreau if we want success. So we want to move these guys over here. We'll need every advantage on the battlefield to push Germany back. Command has granted us all the reserves to requisition new tanks. So let's purchase. So this is where we purchase units. It will take time for the ships to arrive from America with your heavy ordnance. In the meantime, you can use French tanks to supplement your army. Those machines were amazing. Our boys were already coming up with new ways to use them that will hopefully surprise the Germans. I think they also want to take them apart and see what made them tick. Okay? Your requisition has come through, and our new tanks have been delivered. So let's move those tanks over there. So we need to also select the aircraft to move them over there. Now this is an interesting concept, because a lot of strategy games, they can feel one-dimensional in the sense that battles are like an isolated event. Here, you have units across the trench line, and you need to hold that trench line, but you only have so many limited resources in order to defend various sectors of the battlefield. And the enemy is also going to concentrate various forces in different locations. We're moved with the rest over there. As we neared the trench, we could see the siege artillery setting up well away from where we would be fighting. Those guns were designed to pound trenches. I would hate to be under one of those shells when they landed. Just as we depend on spies for information, so does the enemy. To that end, we should set up counterintelligence to prevent them from learning about our offensive. So we got counterintelligence operations as well. That's going to cost supply. So one of the, or rather not supplies, but gold reserves, which are the main resource you have in the campaign. It basically, everything else gets pretty much affected by gold reserve. So counterintelligence, the spies work quickly by the end of the week. Okay, let's just click the button. You have been using gold reserves to bolster our troops and add firepower to the lines. On the battlefield, however, supply is needed, not gold. A soldier without ammunition or bandages is a soldier who cannot fight. An artillery cannon with no shells is nothing but a rock to hide behind. Okay, so basically you get regional supply. Each unit on the strategic map, with the exception of siege artillery, grants a set amount of supply in the region. This is refreshed for each battle. So supply depots allow us to store what we need for combat in a safe location and keep it in reserve for the region. Without them, you can only use what supply your troops carry with them. Okay, so we got the supply depot. Increase the supply cap for a region to 600. So right now, so we got 400 supply pipeline at the moment. Like the regional supply is 900, but supply pipeline is 400. So it's basically your global, you have your local supply and then you have global supply as well. So let's increase that. Now we do have various other things as well over here. And now we get into a defensive battle in the campaign. Alright. I believed we're as prepared as we can be. Once our troops are rested and in position, we'll begin the battle. We can defend if the enemy attacks, but for now we wait further orders. You are dismissed. So we end the turn. The Germans do not sleep or stand idle as the month passes. They go about their business of war just as we do. Our spies caught enemy spies attempting to gain army intel. Alright, so we are under attack as expected. We're looking at German artillery, German tanks, German infantry, German artillery, German tanks, and German aircraft. It would be a stalemate if we out-resolved it. Knowing what forces you and the enemy have before the battle is key to planning an effective attack or defense strategy. Now, battle fatigue, I'm going to guess, is just going to affect your troops if you keep them engaged in a fight for too long without giving them time to replenish. Our recon teams are efficient. Between the ground scouts and aerial recon, we had at least some idea of what the Germans could throw at us. Without dedicated spies, however, we could only get numbers, not details. They had conscripts or it could be stormtroopers. We would only know when the flames begin to flow. The army had an entire strategy and logistics team to tell us the likely outcome of the battle before it happened based on our current intel. One thing that the team could never quantify, though, was his human spirit. A good leader could defy the odds and win the day. We will meet them on the battlefield. They will not take this ground. Okay. So we got 9 corps of German troops. We threw 6 American corps to defend here. And then, of course, we also have the tank battalions as well. We have 2,000 supply. A town that received the Legion d'Honneur. Alright. Chateau Thierry has seen its share of battles in both the Napoleonic Wars and World War I. So, welcome to the front line. This is the trench line. It is pretty well set up by this stage. The way this works is that the trenches persist between battle to battle. Already some trenches in place. You can tell some of them have been here longer than others by how well they were built. Some were dirt walls barely held in place by planks, while others had some walls and concrete reinforcement. Our armed recon patrols and spies have been working to bring us information on the German lines. We can't completely rely on that information, however, as delivery delays can make their observation. Okay? Good trench layout relies on 2 purposes. Although not always the same, first, it provides a staging ground for assaults on the enemy line. Second, it provides a defensive position to protect our key position and personnel. Be in a trench as much as possible, whether our own or the enemy. We could use their own trench line against them to assault their key positions while being safe from their bullets. We're standing in the command trench, the nerve center of the operation. Key position that must be protected. Okay. Your first assignment will be to aid in shoring up our damaged defenses. Our right flank by position A took some damage in the last battle. I need your men to repair and reinforce there. Our engineers have categorized things for you so that you know what's available for use. Okay. Firing trenches. So we're gonna build a firing trench like this. And then another trench. That's an interesting one. Let's say over here. So I fortify the front line over there. And then we get a communications trench that's basically designed to allow communication between trenches over here. And I'm going to build that there. Blockhouse trenches, or bunkers, are heavily fortified trenches used to house reserve troops. They are impervious to just about anything, including siege artillery. Trenches are not the only thing our engineers can provide. Support structures allow specialized troops to provide defense, information, or long range. Okay, so we get MG nests. Gun emplacements include machine guns. Okay. So place an additional 3 MG nests. I am going to do that one here. One here. And let's say, all right, that is one there. Can reinforce your weapon emplacements if you feel the need, though it will dig more heavily into our supply. So we got barbed wire as well to slow down the enemy, basically. And razor wire just is more effective. We also need to place a balloon. Let's do it where we can. Let's go over here. So we're only capable of controlling a finite amount of companies. Our artillery batteries are not mobile companies. They do require specialized men to fire it. Okay. So we need to place some heavy artillery. This should cover that particular sector. And we're going to put another one. And then we can deploy troops. We don't want our men milling about beside the trench when the firing starts. All infantry will be stationed on the firing steps to make sure our defense positions are covered. It seems to me that all of them had a knack for something that was a cultural thing. The French were very efficient with their supplies since they were fighting in their own country. Our boys took tanks like ducks to water. The British were crack shots. I suspect the same could not be said for the Germans since they were, for the most part, all from the same country. It's possible they had other advantages I just don't know about since I don't speak Germans and they didn't seem inclined to talk. So we got American infantry. Let's place some units.
Reinforcements reporting. Reinforcements ready.
Over
We've
here.
Arrived and await orders. Looks like we're late to the party.
Right. Infantry companies are general purpose. However, it is sometimes necessary to bring specialists for specific jobs. Now, raiders are basically grenadiers. Faster and more powerful than standard infantry, can attack infantry trenches from open ground, highly effective against emplacements and tanks, and deal more damage than standard infantry in trench melee combat. Alright, so we are going to place 2 of them over there. So our lines are sufficiently manned for now. We'll hold back the rest of our men as reinforcements so that we can react once the battle starts. We'll also hold back our tanks, let them be a surprise for the Germans. Our siege artillery batteries have been moved from this battlefield to cover another portion of the front. We'll have to do without for this encounter. I believe we're ready, as we will ever be. Get some rest, you have earned it, stay vigilant. So, let's begin the battle. So you get pre-battle preparation. And then, of course, you get the actual battle itself. The Germans are likely to attack soon. Get your men into position. My men are already into position. And then there's pre-battle bombardment. The transition phase includes any days of siege bombardment that were purchased in pre-battle for both players. Bombardments have a chance to destroy pre-placed trenches and the men inside them, as well as any nearby emplacements. And we also see the balance of power there. Skill at giving orders, technological advantages, okay. Knowing when to stop fighting is sometimes as important as pushing forward. The strategists were men who pored over stacks of paper, okay. So we got control points. Now, it's pretty simple. You get units and control points. You take control of them. Coordinate reinforcements on portion of the map. Losing these locations would be a blow to our ability to move troops where we need them. Our reinforcements wait at the key positions away from the battlefield. We have map-specific routes into the area on the map. Okay, so we can call in reinforcement.
Reinforcements reporting.
Okay, so here are these guys coming in on the battlefield. So American company, an American infantry company. Now they do have two different formation. Skirmish formation is spaced out to avoid concentrated area of effect damage. Infantry will automatically switch to skirmish formation if they come under fire, and column formation is for higher movement speed. So information. Then we get observation balloons to give us line of sight. A single soldier in a basket hanging from a giant bag filled with flammable gas. Okay. So we got German troops all over here at the X point. Our timing has paid off. The observers in the balloon have spotted the enemy troops. And now we get to take artillery. And we can use the precision barrage. So we want to fire. Let's do so here.
Préparez-vous à recevoir les ordres de tir.
Right, we have a continuous front line over here. Everything that you need. That did quite a bit more damage than one might assume. Many of our veteran soldiers can tell. Okay. We can't control the troops, so we're just gonna have to take damage.
We have new orders. Take firing position.
So these guys have been weakened, but thankfully we do have reinforcements.
Ready yourselves. Attention. We're withdrawing. We have new orders. We have new orders. Ready on the fire step.
Alright, so our troops have withdrawn. Observe the battlefield.
Stand by for orders.
So it does not count as a defeat, okay. It looks like they're moving troops towards location X. This likely means they are planning an attack on our right flank around location A. We will need some specialized troops to handle. Okay, so we need to get some raiders.
Stand by for orders. We need to hold this position.
Our raiders will travel the trench lines to get to where they need to go. With a well laid out trench system, you're relatively safe during travel, even across long distances. Incoming rolling barrage. That's gonna be fun.
Attention! We need to hold this position.
So they're gonna take some damage.
Get ready. The brass wants this piece of ground. Attention. Ready the line.
But actually not as significant as the damage I did. The Germans are going over the top. Refers to the act of leaving the trenches. Okay. Our emplacements are positioned admirably. The Germans will pay a heavy cost to approach our trench lines. So defense is the easy part over here. With like a proper defensive line like that. Now, I do have a bit of an annoyance over here. Oh, they're gonna get slaughtered over there.
Ready for orders. Take positions.
We have new orders. Ready on the line.
Alright. So we got machine guns over here. We got infantry over here. Now, artillery takes supply to shoot. So you're gonna need a lot of supply in a battle if you're gonna take over territory. Because you need artillery to silence the MGs, the enemy artillery. Also, suppress the defenders over there. Life is cheap in World War I. Some of the battles. Alright, so we're just slaughtering them. Of course, doing an attack like this is just pure suicide in a lot of ways. Like just sending infantry without constant artillery support to suppress the defenses is, yep, it's just insanity. All right, so we're gonna get. They're doing an artillery bombardment. Artillery isn't just spot damage. You can use artillery fire to suppress the enemy ability. Okay. So now we get to call in the tanks. There are no FT light tanks. So our MG nest over there is going to potentially go down, unfortunately. Okay, or not. It just about survived.
We have new orders. Stand by for orders.
Alright, so another attack wave. Incoming, we got German infantry. And those are German conscript infantry. I don't know what the stat differences are, but obviously you can imagine that proper infantry is obviously going to be better. Those MGs though, with their range is something else though. Now you don't have quite a reverse option with the tanks, which is a bit of a shame. Alright, so another attack coming in. The tank can take some damage. Our balloons are importing incoming fighter planes. Balloons are very vulnerable to fighters, but we don't know what their mission is. And now we get to get aircraft. So we get air superiority, balloon busting, bombing run, and harassment mission. Okay. Each nation seemed to have their own ideas about planes. I've seen a crop duster back home doing stunts for fun, but those boys had nothing on the pilots here. Alright, so let's get some air support. So enemy planes, our own allied planes. And that's the field situation there. Oh, we lost one. Actually, we lost both of them. So the final attack wave. Alright, let's just pound them with a bit of artillery. And get more air superiority fighters. Quite a bit more. Alright, RMG positions held. They might actually be falling back. By the way, planes are expensive. Alright, their reinforcements are slowing down and their soldiers are showing signs of low morale. I believe their momentum... okay. Alright, we have achieved what we came here to do. Prevent the loss of more ground. I suggest accepting the German call for a ceasefire, though enough blood has been shed here today. So you can either continue the battle if the enemy attacks, you can either obviously continue the battle and choose to try and take territory yourself, which is probably what I do. Though it depends on whether or not you can hold the province that can hold the territory over here. Battles in this war are won by inches, not miles. The enemy has decided to cut his losses and end hostilities for now. Well, that was certainly interesting. But defense is the easy part, right? Until they start using gas attacks, throw in tanks, and actually use their artillery consistently to suppress your defenses. But just throwing a bunch of infantry at the problems is never going to work in this game. Battles are expensive endeavors, both in monetary and human costs. While our defense was successful, we should never forget that lives were lost to bring about our victory. So we lost 35. Okay. Global supply spent 0. That's good. And we got some national wealth. We had ample warning this time, and the German attack seemed like more like a scouting probe than a full-scale assault. But even minor battles cost lives. The men are tired, they still need time to recuperate. The German forces are moving. Hopefully they have not grown wise to our plan and will move as expected. Right, we got Verdun over here. Okay, a new month begins and the war continues. Command uses the time to send out new orders, refresh expenditures, and rebuild lost infrastructure. Alright, and that's going to be it for now. Costin signing out. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and enable notifications, and stay tuned for more.